welcome to a game that really had it all. It had a Scorpion Horus Gambit refuted. It had me blundering a knight in the opening, as per the usual. It had an incredible comeback, and it had a brilliant move. So let's just get right into it. We have this Karo Khan setup. My plan is to go for the Scorpion Horus Gambit. After he takes right here, bishop g5, he takes right here, bishop here, and we trade a pawn for getting both the bishops out really fast. Knight to f6, which allows e5, and he should just counterattack my own knight here, but he decides to go back, giving me an advantage. The computer keeps wanting me to push my pawn up, but all this is fine up until bishop to e3, which blunders a fork if he takes this knight, and after bishop takes, boom, that's a fork. However, he misses the fork, I attack the bishop, bishop goes back, and I miss the fork. Now he finds it. Okay, now, the eval bar surprisingly says I'm still slightly ahead. Don't ask me why. However, I decide to be slick and blunder all my advantage away with pawn to b4 attacking his bishop. The bishop moves out of the way, counterattacking my pawn in the center, so I defend it with the bishop and give up the knight. Now I push the pawn up, defending the pawn with this pawn so my other bishop can move. Knight to e7, and I really just considered resigning here. I really did, and the eval bar agrees with me. But I thought, I'm just going to play this out. We're going to see what happens. Maybe I can make him mess up. I have way more activity than him. It's going to be a while for him to fully get developed. You know, maybe there's a chance. So I move the queen up, attacking his pawn. He defends it. I move my bishop out of the way of the knight. Other knight moves in, and I move this bishop going after the h7 pawn, which he moves out of the way of the attack. The computer didn't like this because f5 comes with an attack on the bishop. It's way stronger, and then this kind of could open up his king if he castles. And I play pawn to f4. Now I've got both my bishops off the f file. My plan is to go f5 and just like trade this pawn off, do something like use the rook, do something in the center, right? And now he goes pawn to b5, trying to counterattack on the queen side. What I think he did with this move is he wanted to go knight here and then knight here, so he wanted to create a little knight outpost. But it is just too slow because I can play f5, and I'm slowly crawling my way back. I was at -3.5, now I'm at -2. You know, that's a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. We trade the pawns here in the middle, and he plays pawn to g6, which attacking my bishop. But that allows me to sacrifice the bishop. And he cannot take the bishop because if you take the bishop, queen takes, king goes here, and because the king can only go there because the rook actually cuts off this whole file, and then queen goes here to deliver checkmate because the pawn cuts off this only escape square. So he cannot take the bishop, and instead he goes rook to f8 defending the pawn. The computer liked him castling to get his rook over there to defend the pawn. His king's a little safer that way, but I mean, honestly, I don't blame him for finding this move. Then I screw up my advantage because I could have sacrificed the rook, but I missed it. I did not see enough follow-ups for sacrificing the rook. So, pawn to e6 attacks the knight and it attacks the pawn, and he decides to take the bishop because the pawn moved up, vacating the diagonal for the bishop to take my bishop. And I was like, okay. Now, I thought I just blundered a bishop there. I was like, okay, but I still have a good attack. With e captures an f7 check. King goes here, and then boom. Rook a to e1, choking my advantage away. The bishop was free, it was hanging, but I just got too check happy, just like your average 500 level player. I see check, I play check, but the bishop is just easily covering the rook. And yes, I can take back the bishop with this rook, but that's just a lot of material that I just lose, and that's an extra attacker I cannot afford to lose. However, he just moves his king, and this allows mate in 5 that I'm actually proud to say I do spot. Queen captures on g3 with check. One of his only moves is to block with this knight. I think that might actually be his only move. Yeah, because then he can go into that spot vacated by the knight. And then I almost choked the game away again because I was like, oh, this queen here, and then king goes here, bishop here, not realizing that the knight covers that square, so I would have choked the game away if I did that. But instead, I actually used my brain, I used my clock, look at my time. This is why when you play slow games and you have a position like this, you need to go slow, okay? You should be able to checkmate a king by itself with just a king and a rook in under 30 seconds. Okay? If you cannot do that, you will have to play too quickly in the opening and the middle game because you have to save time for the end game. Okay? You need to learn these basic checkmates. Okay? That is a tangent. Alright? That's just a helpful tangent, okay? And I know I sound like a jerk saying that, right? But honestly, like, I have won so many games through having just a king and a rook with 30 seconds left on the clock, okay? And that is just something that will help your elo so much if you can just spend time in the middle game, in the opening, and just knowing that you know really good checkmates. So I spend 47 seconds on this move, okay? And if I played it quickly, apparently there's a faster way to win if I moved the bishop. But if I played it quickly, I would have played the queen and lost the game. Now he sacrifices the knight. Computer wanted him to move the king back, but it's still mate. Queen goes here, and he resigned because his only square is just going to walk right into the checkmate. So that's just a game that had it all.